race. So both of our runners fighting at that slim, one of those very few 4 and 3 record spots that will advance. There's only going to be between 2 and 4 of those. Here we go. We're off. We're going to see what we get. So no sword from Uncle today. It is dangerous to go alone. We'll see what's in that first chest for our runners, though.
It's a sword. No, it's a heart.
That would be awesome. So it is a full heart. Early defense, always welcome for our runners, whether that be in the form of heart containers or in the form of a mail upgrade. You definitely want to see that, as these seeds can push you into the Dark World and some of the more difficult dungeons sooner rather than later.
Indeed, early Dark World access is always tricky because of your heart and mail count, but also just how are you going to proceed with that from a routing point?
And today we do get that blue cane, so we're going to see our runners with a little bit more skill intensive. It's difficult to farm bombs. Now you are able to take out both of these guards either with the pot or with the blue cane itself, but there's no need to because there's just bombs in the chest. So never mind about the bomb farming. Got a little lucky there.
Yeah, disregard bomb farming. I don't think we'll be seeing any farming at all. Just hoping they can find some rupees in some chests for the bottle merchant. And Xelna's doing the classic waiting for the green guard to come down and then using 2 bushes, DarkShadows is also very proficient, and I've done that in the past as well.
It's tough without that sword to be able to get by that guard, but you'll notice that practice does come into play for these small little time gains here.
Well, here in Escape, always looking for items that allows you to clear it faster. Boots, mirror, and hookshot being the 3 main ones.
And there's that mirror that you were talking about as both of our runners dispatch that first blue guard holding that small key.
I mean, it's a great way to start round 7 with a commentator's blessing.
So they'll be able to use that mirror inside of dungeons to return to the beginning. They'll be able to use that mirror to go from the Dark World to the Light World. And importantly here, once they rescue Zelda, they can use it to take Zelda right back to the front, cutting out a lot of time in this escape sequence. So I would expect to see, and another bomb drop there on the right side of your internet. I would expect to see both of our runners make use of that.
Yeah, with the mirror, I've seen players finish the escape at 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
And that's compared to the kind of standard par time of 6 minutes.
Yeah, the mirror saves a lot of time for not having to walk back, and since they don't have to do any farming, that's also going to make the escape fast.
So that green guard getting in a little bit of the way here. You do have the ability to use some of your magic here, as there are quite a number of small magic pots throughout Hyrule Castle and throughout the escape sequence. And Zelda's kind of gonna have to make use of those, as he is out of magic for that last key. Both of our runners are actually out of magic for that key rat at the end.
Yeah, but there are, as stated, a few small pots in the sewers that you can pick up for that magic. But maybe they will try their luck with bombs, but I don't think they will.
No, 4 bombs is a fantastic amount for both of our runners to go through Kakariko Village with. It will be able to be enough to clear everything out. Zelda's actually going to save and quit here. I think this is going to refill his magic, at least somewhat, before the escape. So it does indeed. So he's going to take that magic refill. Meanwhile, Dark Shadow going to make use of those magic refills in pots.
That's interesting. Don't often tend to see players do a save and quit to refill their ammunition early on.
And it looks like Dark Shadows is going to be ahead by a couple of screens here. So it looks like that is the faster strat. So knowing where those magic refills are in Escape, definitely an important factor here in the early game.
There's a lot of very small things about this game, and it's very difficult to know every single one of them.
And Dark Shadows tracks down that key rat with plenty of magic to spare and gets that key. Meanwhile, Zelda's going to try his key rat here. And it stays nice and still for him, coming out with the same amount of magic and the same amount of keys. So we'll see what we have. We got a glove in the back of Escape, so that is fantastic news for both of our runners. That is the one item that you really don't want to see in the back of Escape when you're not able to get those bombs. So our runner's really dodging a bullet here by getting those bombs in the chest and the drop earlier in Escape.
It's a lot of time you have to spend to walk all the way back in to go and get those gloves. On the other hand, these gloves at this point do not unlock any item locations unless they want to make a sequence break up to Death Mountain.
So the gloves, first part of the puzzle for Dark World access, that all-important Dark World access. We're going to need a Moon Pearl and either a hammer or a second glove in order to get there entirely. But we'll certainly find out, so stay tuned as we continue on this opening route here.
And both players do have a preference for checking Lumberjack following Escape, and looks like DarkShadows will be doing that.
Lumberjack not often required, but when it is required, you really want to know about it early so you can route it in. A lot of runners do opt to skip it in order to save that time. Oh, we get 20 rupees from the Tier 2 triple. That is fantastic news for our runners. But when it is required, you really, really want to know. DarkShadow's going to spend a little bit of time at this bush crab, going to pick up these magic refills. It is important to get these since Blue Cane and bombs are his only weapon. Zelda is also happy to find those 20 rupees in the tree. And just a piece of heart today at the Lumberjack.
It's indeed just a heart, but DarkShadows have had some awkward situation with this Lumberjack in the past, having a Moon Pearl seed earlier this tournament.
That's absolutely brutal. So Zelda's taking a bush and killing the dancing pickle. DarkShadow's doing the same thing here. So if they want to do that Tier 2 tree pull again for those 20 rupees, they're going to have to kill 4 enemies and then take a hit. Now, killing that bush crab does in fact count. So that's going to be, I think, 3 enemies on the left side. No, that's going to be 4 enemies. So he's going to have to take a hit in order to get that Tier 2 tree pull again.
Zelda's finding a nice additional bomb drop here.
And Zelda's picking up a bomb in order to damage himself. So that's going to be good enough for that tree pull. And DarkShadows takes a hit earlier and gets those 80 rupees once again. So our runner should be pretty good on money and money farming for the remainder of this seed.
And some really advanced and untypical strategies to get these tree pulls to get all of these rupees heading into Kakariko. You don't tend to see players put this much emphasis on getting those rupees.
It's not often that you get that 20 rupee Tier 2 pull. This also is only applicable if you're checking Lumberjack, so you can do the double tree pull strategies. So it's definitely something that you need to keep in mind. So if you're an aspiring runner out there and you've never seen that before, keep it in mind. This is how we learn, and this is why you need to follow these runners. They are very experienced, very skilled, and they will teach you things just by watching them. So we'll see if we get any more tricks like that later on in this race.
So I'm going to have to say I made a mistake earlier in this commentary by saying that the gloves don't unlock anything, but they do unlock Zora, and this could be a preparation for a potential fake flipper in the future to head to Zora.
Zora is unlocked right now by the logic. You can just walk there the vanilla way. Obviously, Zora has flippers in the base game that this is based on, and you don't need flippers to get there, but you can take a little bit of a shortcut, a little bit of a sequence break by fake flippering from the southeast of the world. Take a teleport pool and go up and see the big fish.
Well, DarkShadows has also had vanilla flippers this tournament.
Now, Zora's kind of a tricky area because it's an area where you want to already have flippers to go up there because there's a bunch of more items around there. As DarkShadows picks up the red boomerang and the powder. We actually get that on both sides of the screen. Our runner's pretty much neck and neck here. So there's about 4 items up in the Zora area, including the Zora item. The other 3 you can only really get to by logic with the flippers. You can get to them by other means using minor glitches. None of which are really available to our runners at this time with their inventories, but making that efficient play up to the Zora area is very important, and so you'll see the runners kind of avoid there until they are able to make it a little bit more efficient. Zelda's getting bitten by that chicken that he threw into the next screen here.
A chicken pool gone wrong for Xelnas. We're just going to talk about the standard simple routes in the early game. You do the escape forest into Kakariko, you head to the pond, do the mini Moldorm cave, into Ice Sword cave, and then sometimes you do the fake flipper to Zora Hobo. We do have a map check. And then after that, if you still don't have anything, you head to Sahasra Lane to Eastern.
So right here we have Eastern Palace as a pendant, as well as Tower of Hera as the green pendant, with Desert just being a simple crystal. So we do have 2 pendants in the light world.
So let me tell you something about Dark Shadows. He loves his pendant dungeons. He loves his blindfold pedestals.
And you know what? I like the pendant Eastern play early. I really, really do. I think runners should be going to Eastern when it's a pendant before even South Shore. You don't want to fight Armos. You don't want to fight pendant bosses anyway. You would rather just get in, get those Sphere 1 items, and get out. So both of our runners are actually going to go directly into the race game instead of checking it first, and are both disappointed to see just a piece of heart there. So we'll see where our runners are heading now. They can go right or they can go down, and Dark Shadows is going to head down, and Xelnas looks like he's going to do the same.
But Dark Shadows here, he is moving towards the Moldorm Cave, and the only reason you would do this is that you're going to want to save and quit later on and go down to the pond and then head over to Aegina's. He's also going to check the stun price here.
Just 5 arrows of the stun prize, so no dam check on the left side of your internet. Zelda's going to find out what's in there. 10 arrows, nothing good so far.
Now, normally when you see this dam into Aegina, you tend to do that first, and then you save and quit back to Link's house, and then you head to the Moldorm Cave. I've not seen it done in this order.
So not enough magic for those last 2 mini Moldorms on the left side of his screen there. Gets it done with a bomb, though.
And the mini Moldorms were quite pleased with how they were positioned. Okay, we're just getting fetchy in here.
And that Ice Rod with 2 pendants in the light world, we're looking at pretty good chances Turtle Rock's going to be required, so we're not going to have to worry about that Ice Rod for later on in the seed. And that bottle that we were talking about earlier can also be turned in for an item.
Oh, it's just Dark Shadows is doing the route he ways. He plays the seed like he wants to play it. He's going back to the dam.
Gonna take Bush Crab there. Again, knowledge of where these enemies are, where these little resource locations are throughout the game. Very important to familiarize yourself with this.
You know, this is what excites me, when players do some really crazy things with their route. And we're just 13 minutes in, and Dark Shadows is just... I think he's going to completely skip Ice Rod Cave here, but I could be wrong again.
Well, it looks like Xelnas is certainly going to head that way, so we'll get a chance to see what are in both Ice Rod Cave and Agahnim's Cave. And both of our runners are electing to pick up that full heart container. Again, defense early is very, very important. It's really hard to pass up that early heart container.
Yeah, the first few heart containers matter more since you do have few hearts.
And Xelna's going to avoid these little crabs here. They do 2 hearts of damage for some reason. And Dark Shadows is indeed going to head west to that desert area. Sees just a piece of heart on the ledge before heading to Agahnim. Again, more information is better. Information very valuable in this game. And you'll see a couple of spots where our runners end up going for information in addition to or even instead of items. We saw that earlier in the Lumberjack check. We'll see that with the Mire and Turtle Rock checks later on, figuring out what the pendants are that are required to open them.
Indeed, and Xelnas is now going to make the trip over to East, and this makes a lot of sense as he is running out of item locations, and it's this Zora or Aegina that's in logic. And in Aegina, it's nothing.
And I don't believe there were anything in Ice Rod Cave either, so our runners are going to have to look elsewhere for progression here.
Dark Shadows is going to keep on being a little bit... Yeah, he's going to do the shovel first.
So it's a one-off location, so not as efficient as what Xelnas is doing, where he's going to Eastern, he's going to the back of Traversal hut. Easy 3 items right here. Finds a sword, so that's going to be good, and silver arrows. That'll be great later once we get the bow.
There's some really nice items that Sasso have stacked up back there. The silver arrows, of course, always valuable. We don't know when the bow will show up, though.
Just a piece of heart at the dig spot. So good call on Xelna's part, not heading right there. We're going to head into Eastern now. There are 2 to 3 items available. There are also some dark rooms, but Xelnas does have the sword to kind of guide him through the dark rooms. More than capable of a runner of doing these dark rooms. Both of our runners are. And we're going to see Dark Shadows head towards Kakariko. He's going to go turn in that bottle, making this a little bit more of an efficient check, but something most runners would prefer to save until later. So we'll see if this pays off.
So this does bear in mind with something that Dark Shadows like to do. If he can't full clear a dungeon, he's going to do everything else that he can until he can full clear that dungeon. Then he doesn't care if it's a pendant or a crystal.
So he's going to have to save and quit and go elsewhere. He does have the option to go up Death Mountain. He does have the option to, although that is out of sequence, he does have the option to go to Zora, although that is fairly inefficient. And it looks like he's going to head east and head towards that Eastern Palace, despite not having that bow to full clear it.
I mean, he is basically put himself in this situation since he decided to skip out on Ice Rod Cave, and at this point, taking all the way back there, or all the way to move over to Zora, it's very difficult to find a reason to go for that play.
And nothing good yet in Eastern Palace. Our runners still both sitting at around 300 rupees, so not quite enough for Zora yet. They do have the option to go into the Houlihan room. It's a room kind of where the game puts you when it doesn't know where else to put you. So you can get the game into a bit of a glitch state and basically make the game not know where to put you, and it'll give you a bunch of rupees for your efforts.
Yeah, and, well, Dark Shadows really doesn't want that flute.
Well, he's gonna regret that, because that flute is certainly going to be the next piece of progression that's going to lead us up logically into the mountain. But Dark Shadows going to save it for later. Hopefully he'll find a bow pretty soon and head back to Eastern Palace, because that flute will almost certainly be required later on. As Xelnas saves and quit, doesn't even need the dark room. I believe he got all 3 items in the front part of the dungeon.
Yeah, he did was a piece of art in the first chest, and the second must have had the big key.
So Xelnas is going to go check that dig spot on his way to the flute. I got to imagine he's going to turn in that bottle as well. Dark Shadow going to pick up a few more rupees before heading into the dark cave that is Death Mountain entrance.
Yeah, he's definitely prioritizing rupees for an upcoming Zora check.
You know that Moon Pearl is going to be in the early game, because it has to be. There's no way to get into the late game without it. So you know that Moon Pearl is going to be available to you in the near future, and will allow you to sequence break to the rest of those items, making your trip up to Zora much more efficient.
The thing is, when you do have the Mire, when you do get Darkworld access, you can always make the trip up to Catfish and Mire over to Zora, because just going up there for Catfish doesn't feel very good.
And a sword upgrade on the old man, so that's going to feel good. A little bit more offense. Excuse me, not defense. Offense. The best offense is good defense. Best defense is good offense. Funny how that works. So we're going to head up, see what's in Spectacle Rock. Getting a little bit of trouble from the Dead Rock. Able to just barely squeeze by it, as Xelnas gets disappointing news from the sick kid.
Now, there is an issue, though, with this Master Sword, and that is that we are a lamp away from Aga 1.
And still a hammer and a Moon Pearl, or a Moon Pearl and a glove. Although there's the second glove, so we're just missing a Moon Pearl at this point. Blue Boomerang in Spectacle Rock. Not going to be very useful for our runners at this point with that red one in their inventory.
Oh, not at all, but these mates definitely changed. So now the Moon Pearl must be on the pyramid for Aga 1 to be required.
And we just get regular Link as the adorable bunny sprite for the Dark Link sprite. That's awesome.
And Zelda's decided to call on the duck, but decided not to let the duck grab him.
So we see The Hera dip from Dark Shadows here finds a small key. That's not good news. You don't want to see that early with no fire source in your inventory. So we're going to hope that this next item is, in fact, a big key or a fire source.
If it's not, it's...
And it is
Zora?
not. So it looks like we got to head to Zora. There's nothing really else in logic.
Yeah, I can only think of Zora right now. Yeah, mine is stuck. I can only think of Zora.
And Dark Shadows, considering that Eastern play, but elects not to do it, as Xelnas is going to fly up to Death Mountain and pick up his Titan Mitts.
He also doesn't have a fire source, so he's not going to be able to continue here. He did check Agahnim's cave, so after this I think also he just has Zora left.
So in logic, as chat's pointing out, we do have logical access to Desert, to Checkerboard Cave. We do have the ability to fly over there once we get those Titan's Mitts with that flute. Neither of our runner does have the equipment in their inventory at this time to do that. But the logic says go to Desert.
That is true. Checkerboard Cave is in logic and a back entrance, or sometimes you can call it the main entrance to Desert due to how often it's used.
But if Dark Shadows wants to avoid Eastern, and he is going to open up that cave right there, there's 20 rupees you can get in that cave every time you enter under pots. So he might, we might see him do that a couple of times. He's at 395, so that'd be what? That'd be 6 times he's going to go in and out.
Indeed.
So strap in for a rupee farm here, folks.
I mean, this also explains all the earlier 3 pools getting the 80 rupees over and over again. He's been setting up for the Zora very early. It's just that the rupees from the chests have not worked out for him.
So we'll see if Xelnas decides to take that dip into into Hera, or just head straight to the Desert Palace area with no fire source and no boots. There's not really good odds that he's going to be able to clear it, but there certainly will be a chest or 2 over there for him to open.
Well, he has to make that decision or head to Zora, and I can't imagine him going to Zora when he doesn't have the rupees for it.
What I want to see is I want to see a Mire shed check without the Moon Pearl from our runners. I want to see a little bit of a sequence break there. You can get into that shed, and we'll show you a little bit later exactly what we're talking about. If you don't have the Moon Pearl in a Super Bunny state, if you use the mirror on the same frame as you entered the cave. So not too difficult of a trick. We'll see if either our runners are aware of it and decide to use it.
Indeed, and from personal experience, it feels that the book is often in that shed.
So Xelnas knows exactly where the logic's going to take him. He's going to get into that Dark World portal around the Mire area. We'll see if we get a map check at this point.
You see 20 rupees on the island, so won't be coming back for that.
And Dark Shadow's going to sequence break up here. Xelnas pulls out the mirror, going to head right to Desert Palace. Not even going to check what that Mire medallion opening requirement is.
I think he's going to check it after this desert play if he plans on going into checkerboard after that. Just checking it when that bird is chasing you is very risky.
Especially in Green Mail at low resources. We see a map on the Desert Torch, so boots will not be required, at least not at this point in the seed.
Dark Shadows is going to sequence break back and head to the Zora area, and Senna's going to find the small key.
So that'll open up the right side of Desert. We'll find the big key on that side, and then we'll have access to the big chest in the back. We're going to get at least one item here out of Desert Palace. Hopefully it's progression. If not, we're going to have to go look elsewhere.
And that elsewhere is where Dark Shadows is going.
And a fairy drop early in the prize pack for this seed. That should be useful.
The moment of truth here.
And there's the Moon Pearl. So that's the Dark World access we have at 24 minutes in, as Dark Shadow sees just an arrow upgrade on the Zora ledge.
And Zelda's just playing the seed very standard to make the early Eastern play to put himself in this situation.
I really like that early Eastern play when it's a pendant specifically. I really, really like it because you don't want to go back there. You don't want to beat a pendant boss. Looks like Landmo's going to hold an item for us today. We'll be back for that later as Landmo also contains a crystal. And Dark Shadow's going to see what Zora has for us. So unfortunately, we're not going to get that Super Bunny state in the Mire Shed, but we will be able to check it. Zora's got Quake for us today.
So Zora really likes these shiny items, rupees, coins, and moon pearls.
Could be progression. We get the bow in the Mire Shed, so that's a big news.
That's a massive pickup finding the bow there, and that's 25-minute silver arrows.
Certainly going to be useful later on. We do not yet
and Dark
know.
Shadows.
And Dark Shadow's going to do a Dark Aga?
I've never seen anyone do a Dark Aga in a race before.
I've seen it a couple of times here. If you watch enough of this tournament, you'll see everything. Zelda's not going to get very far without a fire source here. He just figured it out. And Dark Shadow is going to do some Dark Aga Tower. There is a chance that this is still required. And it's not a very big chance, but there is still a chance. The way that this ends up still being required is if there is a hammer at the Fat Fairy, because there's no other way to get there without sequence breaking to the pyramid with that big bomb. So, but that is quite a small chance. I think most runners would definitely rather prefer to head to Eastern at this point. But Dark Shadows, without the luxury of that flute from the Eastern Palace dip, doesn't want it, so he's going to go head up to the tower instead.
There's actually a lot of more possibilities because our players don't have the flippers or the hammer to even head to the east side in the first place. The Titansmiths do not give access to the Palace of Darkness region. You will need the hammer or the flippers to head over to the east side. So there is a lot of possibilities still that Aga 1 is required. So Xelnas here is doing this standard route that he likes to take when he enters the Dark World. He's very likely going to check the middle area in Skullwoods as well. After that, he tends to check Bumper Cave.
I haven't seen a map check on the Dark World side from either of our runners yet. Zelda's obviously able to tell whether or not this is a crystal or a pendant based on the music.
And that is interesting because Xelnas tends to do a Dark World map check immediately upon arriving in the Dark World via Kakariko.
Misses that first bomb jump, running a little bit low on hearts here. Gonna have to line himself up nice and tight against that hole. Doesn't quite get it, down to half a heart. Gonna want to exit and re-enter.
He's getting the reset here just in case he's going to die, or likely he's gonna take it at 4 here. I'm gonna check the chest on the east side first.
And a good heads-up play about his health here. And Dark Shadow is not the most interesting thing to commentate in the world, but it is certainly very skill-intensive. He likely has these maps. Oh, he had a fairy in a bottle. He didn't need to take that Death Warp. So he's going to continue to try to bomb jump across this gap here, get this big chest. And Dark Shadow is going to use that blue cane to guide him through these dark rooms. Running out of magic a little bit. Going to take out that red boomerang.
The thing is, even if Dark Shadows does this, because of the Moon Pearl's location, unless he finds the book on Pyramid, he still has to go back into Eastern.
So Zelda's going to take another death here. So that bomb jump definitely going to save you time if you can pull it off the first try, maybe the second. But once you get into taking 2 deaths off of it and go to the third try, it's time to consider going the intended route. So Zelda's going to do what's best for him and move on. He's going to go to that back half here. Or the back half, the middle third. Now this boomerang will stun these Gibdos, unlike the hook shot. Which is, I don't know. I'm glad they did that. So Zelda's taking advantage of that as he pulls the statue and gets grabbed by the Wallmaster.
Yeah, sometimes the Wallmaster likes to come down on you like that. But yeah, the boomerang stun is Another one of these small things about the game that shows a lot of game knowledge.
Gonna be a little bit more careful with that wall master this time. Easily avoids them. I don't know what Dark Shadow's doing. I want to say something about, oh, this is great. This is how far he is. I have no idea where he is. I don't have a clue. Zelda picks up a tempered sword though. Takes another death warp.
I mean, something we can say about Dark Shadows is that this is one of the most insane gambles, likely the most insane gamble you can make in this tournament.
At this point, though, I gotta think that this is gonna be a time loss for him.
I mean, I'm pretty certain it was a time loss the second he decided to do this.
Because if it does end up being required for whatever reason, when Xelnas does go through it himself, he is going to have the luxury of the lamp. And that's certainly going to make this a lot faster. Dark Shadow down to just half a heart. I believe he still has that fairy in a bottle, and Xelnas just picked up a refill on his. And there goes that death. So that's going to do the first fairy in a bottle here for Dark Shadow. So he is back to 7 hearts, but does not have
Pendant Thieves.
He does not. Oh, I didn't even see the map check. I was looking at Dark Shadows. There's nothing to look at. Why was I even looking at that?
I didn't get to see the 5-6, but it is Pendant Thieves Town as the third pendant.
Well, thankfully, OSS Geek, our tracker, saw those red crystals in Swamp Palace and Skull Woods. And we see a red cane over on Bumper Cave Ledge.
Well, the cape has to be somewhere then.
And we're going to go head over and check Spooky Ledge now. Not going to be able to check Bonk Rocks or King's Tomb on the way, but we are going to be able to check the Spooky Ledge.
Yeah, this match
with those Titans, miss. Go ahead.
This match is past routing from Xelnas after doing the Skull Woods with the middle check into Bumper Cave into Graveyard Ledge, checking the 3 first item locations in Village of Outcast, and then heading to Thieves Town.
So Thieves Town, not full clearable, not required, certainly as far as pendants go. So we'll see if he does take a dip into there and how far that dip is. We get the Fire Rod in Spooky Ledge, so that's going to be important. And we'll see if he's able to, if he wants to head right back into Skull Woods for that crystal.
Yeah, well, he definitely has the equipment for it. It's just a matter of how confident you are in 7 Hearts Green Mail Mofula.
I think at the 3-3 stage, these runners are plenty confident in their abilities. So I would not be surprised.
Oh, Dark Shadows!
Dark Shadows makes it out of the dark rooms in Aga Tower. Gonna have some red guards to deal with now. So still down to 2 hearts. Gonna have to be a little bit careful with just green mail here. Taking those Master Sword spins, doing level 3 damage. Gets through that room. Meanwhile, Zelda is going to clear out the Village of Outcasts. He's already in the Dark World, of course.
Yep, Zelda's starting off here with the Sea House. I wouldn't be surprised if Zelda's going to make at least the first 4 chests in Thieves Town before heading into Skull Woods, just to try and maybe find some more hearts or a mail upgrade before Mofula.
So Dark Shadows
for a tour.
Dark Shadows not exactly going to use NMG strats here, but does make it through the room just fine. Checks a couple of pots, see if there's any hearts underneath. He's going to be very disappointed.
No hammer for the Peg Cave here for Zelda, so not as optimal as you would want to make this.
So 33 minutes in, we see very different items on our runner side. We see Xelnas with a bit of a lead at this point, and it is not doing nothing but increasing as Dark Shadows makes this mostly unnecessary climb up Aga Tower. We'll give a quick recap of where these key items are. So we get the flute in Pendant Eastern Palace. Dark Shadows does not want to dip any dungeons without being able to full clear, so he's going to stick hard to that strategy. And he decided to do a Dark Aga Tower instead. Meanwhile, that Moon Pearl is in Desert Palace, so unlocked by the Flute and the Mire and those Titan's Mitts. You can see he's got the rest of those items in his inventory, but only Xelnas was able to make that play.
And Aga1 is only required if hammer and flippers are locked over on the eastern side. On the other hand, the one item that can actually help Dark Shadows at this point is the book, because the book would give him direct access to Desert Palace, so he doesn't have to dip into Eastern.
Again, he wouldn't be able to complete it without a fire source, and not going to be able to get that fire source, at least not the fire rod, at this point, without that Moon Pearl.
Indeed, and Zelda's doing something interesting here. He had the opportunity to just go with the chest and make a chest tour, checking all Stumpy and the item locations there, but he decided just to take the flute.
A little bit less efficient than normal, as he's already used the shovel on that dig spot.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you're leaving old Stumpy K45 and the digging game at this point, and it can be a bit tricky to route those in later, but he does have the mirror into flute to head somewhere else, so it's not as bad as it could have been. And it's gonna be Dark Shadow's moment of truth here, as he's gonna check this pyramid ledge.
And just some blue goo, so he is going to spend some time and pick this up. Might as well get the reward for his efforts in that Dark Agate Tower. But it is not going to be... he can't save and quit there. He's just going to go right back to the pyramid.
Yeah, he needs to use the mirror and then save and quit.
He also needs to back up a little bit, or move forward, rather. So, that respawn on the pyramid in the Dark World, as Xelnas gets his flippers, so that's going to give access to the eastern side, so really narrowing down, coming in on Aga not being required. It's already not required if you're able to warp that big bomb back and forth, using the mirror or screen transitions, as the case may be.
Well, the point was that the hammer had to be in had to be at Pyramid Fairy, correct?
No. Yeah, it has to. The hammer has to be at Pyramid Fairy. That is the only way right now that Aga is required.
Well, after that one dig bug net, we can say that hammer is not required, or it cannot be at Pyramid Fairy, because you need a hammer for Swamp Palace.
So Aga's dead. Put it in the book. Dark Shadows did a Dark Agate Tower when it was not required. So that's going to be tragic. We're going to see if he's going to be able to make up the ground. He knows he's going to head into Eastern Palace. So this is the only thing left for him to do at this point.
And we can definitely say that Dark Shadows at this moment is significantly far behind Zelda's. But Dark Shadows, as you've seen, he takes gambles, so he can still bring this back.
And so Zelda is going to need to turn that advantage into crystals, though, here shortly. Both of our runners still with 0. So is he able to full clear anything at this point? I don't believe so. That hammer really missing from the inventory here.
Yeah, the hammer is the big item here that prevents from doing anything. Well, we do Desert Palace.
You're correct. We could do both Desert and Skull Woods at this point. But Zelda's going to check on Hype Cave first. It's going to be 5 items in the overworld, and he's right next door, so we might as well dip in with a check.
After this, he can use the flippers, go check the pyramid, get the bottle there, and head up to Catfish, and then use the mirror and check everything in the Zora area.
So lots of overworld. We'll see if he sticks with it. It's difficult to get over here if you don't have that hammer, and he doesn't. So he might want to do all of these overworld checks now, despite being able to go immediately into some crystal dungeons. A lot of love here in Hype Cave, but no progression. So I'm going to give that a Gripe Cave.
Yeah, the Hype Cave, it just wants to be loved again, and this steed is showing it.
And we might get a rarely seen blind check on the Lake Hylia Island item.
Yeah, it was 20 rupees, I believe.
So Dark Shadows picks up his flute, knows he's behind now. I mean, yeah, I think he knew that earlier, but...
yeah, I think
he's
very confident that he's behind at this point.
And time to go turn on that flute, as Zelnas is going to make his way over to the Hobo and then to the Palace of Darkness area.
Yeah, but I think that without the hammer, he's more likely to at least check the pyramid, but likely making that Catfish Zora play mentioned earlier.
And I think that's a great routing decision. Go over to that Catfish Zora area. That's 5 items. You're not going to be able to get to Catfish efficiently any other way other than what he's doing right here.
Yeah, Catfish is really difficult to route in, and since he's already done the Graveyard Ledge, which is the only other way to reliably get to Catfish, this is basically his one chance to go and do it.
So if you're able to turn an inefficient, out-of-the-way location into something where it's much more efficient, that is a win for you and a possible time save, should anything required be over there. So Zelda's going to take advantage of that. Head to the pyramid first. We'll see if he picks up that bottle of blue goo. I would be certainly tempted to. I would almost certainly be picking this up at this point.
It's just a few seconds to pick it up, and I do think that if Xelnas did have the hammer at this moment, he would go into Palace of Darkness.
And we can see chat saluting the bird thing. What is it? It's like a pigeon?
I think... I don't know if it's just supposed to be a bird or a duck.
A duck? Is a duck not a bird?
I don't know my duckology question mark?
Oh, we're actually going to get a Super Bunny check here from Dark Shadows. We'll see if he's able to get this. So, again, he's going to attempt... Nope, he's not going to attempt it. I thought he attempted it. Oh, he just went in to avoid the pterodactyl. So we did see Quake is required for Mire. And so Zora does have that Quake medallion. So Xelnas going to pick up his Quake medallion more than likely from Zora here, as Dark Shadows already has his.
Indeed, but without the hookshot or the boots, he can't get anywhere inside of Mire. Catfish has been disturbed.
Let's see what he spits out today. It is the hammer! So that is quite the item. Just in case you thought that the hammer was still going to be in that Pyramid Fairy, even though we decided it was impossible. We have it now in the inventory. We know for sure where it is. And Xelnas going to be very happy with his routing decisions here.
I mean, he could actually... I don't know if it's faster enough to walk back from Zora to Palace of Darkness, or if it's faster to save and quit and then go there.
With the flute in his inventory, and the hammer and the gloves and the moon pearl, it is almost certainly going to be faster to save and quit. Get that refill at the old man for your hearts, and then flute over to 5.
Oh yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Without the flute, though, it might be close. Yeah, it might be close. I'm not sure. I'd probably walk, but I'm also not that great. Dark Shadows finally going to the cannonball room here. Gonna pick up his moon pearl. So this was the play. Double dipping these dungeons. He doesn't like it, but he's got to live with it because that's what the sea's giving him today. And we will indeed see Xelnas save and quit to Link's house. Not going to get that refill from the old man, but we are going to pull out that duck.
Did look it up. Apparently it is a duck, but its official name is Flute Boy's Bird. So I guess it is a duck.
There you have it. Definitive proof. It is canon. That is a duck. And so we are going to make that Palace of Darkness play that you mentioned before. There are 5 items, big 5 items in Palace of Darkness, and this is required. Now, Zelda doesn't have the lamp, but both of these runners are more than skilled enough, certainly as we've seen on the Dark Shadow side, to make it through without the aid of that light cone in these dark rooms.
That's a very nice fairy drop there for Xelnas, and he has just enough rupees to make this play.
110 necessary to enter. That is the toll the monkey requires you to pay.
Unfortunately, Xelnas did take a loss earlier this tournament, and one of the reasons why was that he didn't have enough rupees to go into Palace of Darkness when he was in go mode.
Not a mistake he's likely to make again, and certainly not one that he's going to make today. So he's going to push his advantage here and head into Palace of Darkness.
First we need to figure out, was this bow locked or not?
Well, with the bow having been available for quite some time, I'm inclined to say it's not a big deal either way. Although we should note that Dark Shadows, after picking up his Moon Pearl, did not go back to the Mire Shed, so does not have his bow.
That is unfortunate, and since he has the Quake Medallion, he may just wait to go back to the Mire area until he has boots or hookshot.
Not to mention that red cane, which we know is sitting on the Bumper Cave ledge.
It's also, as been stated, Dark Shadows likes to take gambles, and he knows he's behind, so he's forced to take even bigger gambles, because how is he going to win otherwise?
That is certainly a thing that happens with gambling and gambling culture.
And we're still playing A Link to the Past randomizer.
So Dark Shadow is going to head out and in, having a little bit more success with that bomb jump.
That's a very nice spin there. I guess it didn't matter.
Using that fairy that he just got that fairy in the big chest too.
Yeah, he may have wanted to preserve that for later.
So we got Xelnas checking this big key chest. Nothing good in Palace of Darkness as of yet, but it will have that all-important crystal.
Most items looks to be in the back, and it's gonna be quite a sequence break if there's anything important there, since they don't have the lamp.
6 small keys total in Palace of Darkness, every single one of them required in order to get through here, one way or another. You don't have to pick all of them up, but you do have to have all of them accounted for in order to get these items. So it tends to be front-loaded with keys.
Yeah, and Zelda now will be heading to the back.
And Dark Shadows gets grabbed by that Wallmaster. Was trying to get that full magic refill in the eastern room there.
Yeah, he's sitting on very low magic here. And he also tends to like... There's the hook shots.
We got the hook shot. All right, so hook shot opens up quite a bit for us. First of all, it makes Swamp Palace full clearable, and that is a red crystal. So now we have the ability to complete both our red crystals, and that's in logic too. That's even given that there's no lamp. So we have the ability to get that Pyramid Fairy going, which is a very attractive location for our runners. We also have the ability to get to East Death Mountain, and not just, although we've had that with the hammer. But that opens up Hookshot Cave specifically inside of Dark Death Mountain. So there is a ton of items, a bona fide treasure trove up on Death Mountain right now, both light and dark. And that's going to be an attractive location to route right now for Xelnas.
Indeed, it also opens up Mystery Mire, but they do not have the cane, so they cannot complete it.
Gonna need that cape to get that gain. And Xelnas can start in with his Dark Maze. So plenty of hearts here, able to kill that first Dodongo.
Xelnas can also make a trip into Ice Palace, has a fire source, has hookshot, has hammer.
I don't know. I'm inclined to avoid swamp, avoid ice. Those are 2 dungeons where you're really going to want to save those for when you're in go mode, when you have all of the items necessary to beat it. You can skip the entire dungeon. It makes a huge difference in speed as Xelnas picks up that second chest in the Dark Maze, as Dark Shadows gets his Fire Rod as well. So with so many items up on Death Mountain right now, it's got to be the play to go up to Death Mountain rather than go into those crystal dungeons. But we could still see either. That doesn't mean dungeon plays aren't valid right now or aren't correct. So we'll see what Xelnas decides to do. He's definitely going to go back in, though, clear out this dungeon. We don't need no lamp here.
Well, the ice play is basically the simple logic of, it's a crystal dungeon that I can full clear, let's go and do it. On the other hand, yeah, it is ice, it's a long dungeon, it's only 3 items, and Colster is not the nicest of bosses.
So Dark Shadow is going to take that Fire Rod. He might have enough magic for a single Fire Rod shot here. Nope, he's decided against it. He's leaving. I thought he was going right over to finish Skull.
Yeah, I mean, there is no other reason to go that way, but he's reconsidering things.
So he's going to take this tree pull here. Top, try to get a little bit of money. No good, though.
Money or magic?
I'm honestly not sure why that didn't work.
Me neither, and he's not picking up the full magic here in the back.
Not going to get a small key either on the back there, so. Well, we'll see what he has in store for us as Zelda's going to take a trip into Palace of Darkness basement. They don't call it Palace of Light. So this is going to be a tricky room here, not in this room that he's in currently, but in the next room. He's going to have to kill 6 terrapins, which are the little turtles that you have to flip over with the hammer. So he does have the ability to use the fire rod, although he doesn't have very many fire rod shots here. So there's 1, there's 2, that's 3. We're halfway there.
It's something not to use the fire rod here. I only think he has 1 or 2 shots.
And DarkShadow is going to pick up a little bit of magic here. He's going to need to save his magic in order to light these torches. So going to take care of the mummies here, the Gibdos, the traditional way of using the sword. 2 sword spins will do it for each of these things. They are tough enemies. They are meant to be burned with the fire rod, not so much killed with the sword.
He's doing it this way because he wants to preserve his magic from Mothula. Also guarantee that he has enough to be able to go into Mothula in the first place, since he does have so low a Xelnas. He's going to be hitting Helmet Star King here with 17 strikes.
And DarkShadows needed to pick up that key from the Gibdo because he did not pick up the pot key earlier on. And Xelnas gonna get these hammer strats going on this mask. Takes down what is that thing? That's a cat, isn't it? It's a weird looking cat. And so we're gonna have crystals fall on both of our runner side at about the same time here. Both of these bosses exploding, the moth and the cat. 300 rubies on the right and a map on the left. So that's
Neither
1 crystal
really
apiece.
useful here. Neither of those items are quite useful here, but the Xelnas have some opportunities now with his hook shot in hand.
So 52 minutes in, both of our runners have their first crystal. I'm still inclined to give the lead to Xelnas at this point.
I mean, just based on items here, hook shot, hammer, bow, and Dark Shadows, taking all that time going through Dark Aga 1-4, nothing, honestly. Maybe he can put the save and quit point to the pyramid to use later on. He does have the flutes, but it's mostly just going to be effective if he's going to make a Palace of Darkness play later on. Ooh, I mean, considering where the hammer is, after he's acquired the hammer, he could just save and quit back to the pyramid and then head east. This is still slower than using the flute.
So Zelda's going to head into Desert Palace, pick up his crystal. He knows that this is going to give him an item. He knows that this is going to be required eventually anyway. So he might as well go up and get this takedown land mode, especially with those silver arrows and the fire rod in his inventory. It's not going to be really, there's not going to be a better time. You're not going to have better equipment at any point to fight this boss. A little bit over-equipped compared to what the vanilla game expects you to have at this point, but that's okay. This game can handle it.
We'll see if he's going to use fire rod or silver arrow straps here. We'll only need 1 shot with the silver arrow, but it is a bit easier, so to speak, to use the fire rod, but you do need 2 shots.
You can also use that sword, of course. 2 spins from the sword will take out a Landmo worm thing.
Yeah, I like that word. It's going to be silver arrows. Unfortunately, aiming at Landmolas can be a bit difficult sometimes.
Gets 2 on the second phase, though. We'll see if we can get a 3 cycle here. And easily a 3 cycle. So down goes Landmo. We're going to get a magic cape here. That's going to lead us to our red cane. So that's going to put Misery Mire on the table.
And Turtle Rock, and both of them are fully clearable if they have access to Turtle Rock.
I like the Turtle Rock play a lot. I like the Turtle Rock play quite a lot.
Yeah, because if Turtle Rock is Quake, is this go mode?
There's so many items up there. There are so many items up there.
Yeah, but you just look at the items they currently have. If Turtle Rock is Quake and they don't need Lamp, because, I mean, they feel like they don't need a Lamp.
Then absolutely it is. So he's going to go pick up his cape. I'd still be going to Mire first. I know I can clear it. I know there's 2 items in there. I know I'm going to have to search for the big key anyway. And then on the way to Turtle Rock, if it ends up not being Quake, if it ends up being Bombos or Mire, there's still a decent chance you could find the appropriate medallion up there.
I mean, I absolutely think you go up to Dark Death Mountain at this point just to see what's in Turtle Rock, see what you need for that, and realize if you're in go mode or not.
So we're going to go ahead and take this pterodactyl out before heading in to get the red cane here. I'm excited. We could be a go mode in less than an hour. This is quite the scene. Lots of possibility for route divergences too, and Xelnas's routing has definitely paid off here.
Yeah, and honestly, he hasn't really done anything out of the ordinary. It seems just lined up very well.
So if you're Xelnas, do you feel ahead or behind? If you haven't done anything out of the ordinary, maybe you feel a little behind, like, you know, spending a little bit extra time doing that bomb jump in Skull Woods. You thinking, well, my opponent did all the same things as me, and that's the difference right now.
As a runner for most of these races, I mean, I can't speak. Oh, Final Sword is in Thieves Town, but I can't speak as a runner because I'm not in this tournament. But the players always tend to feel like they are behind at all the time.
Yeah, it always seems like your opponent in your mind does all of the perfect plays. So Dark Shadow is going to head into Thieves Town. He may not be able to full clear this. It is a pendant. But he does not have that hammer yet. Got to go over to Quakefish for that hammer.
Well, Dark Shadows does love his pendant onions if he can at least get the pendant at the end.
And he will certainly have that ability here in Thieves Town. And Xelnas, he's just going to skip Paradox Cave. He's going to skip all those items. He's going right to Turtle Rock. So he's rushing it here.
Yeah, he's going to see first. And if this is... Was that the book on the island?
That was the book. So a little bit of literacy, a little bit of fetch questing. I think at this point it's more of a fetch quest than a progression item. We'll see if he ends up grabbing that or not. So we got a 1 in 3 shot here that we are in go mode, and we're just going to go right into Turtle Rock.
That's the moment of truth, and it is Ether, so we're still looking for a medallion here.
So we are an Ether away from go mode on the right side of your internet. Meanwhile, on the left side, we are short quite a number of items. We need the bow, we need Ether, we need the red cane, we need that cape in order to get the red cane, we need the hook shot, and we need, of course, the hammer. I say hammer twice. If I didn't say hammer twice, I'm saying it twice now because the hammer is probably most important out of those items. It's in a very out-of-the-way location in Quakefish. So we'll hopefully get Dark Shadows over there sooner rather than later to pick that up. Oh, Xelnas slips off the edge before getting that last chest. He is going to go back for it, though. Lifted up the pot that you generally are going to hook shot onto, but sees the second one there. Good heads-up play. Now we'll see if he goes over and gets that book. Yeah, he's got to get that book. Can't not get that book.
It's a pretty good routing here for him, being able to do Ether Tablet and into Tower of Hera. It's a Pendant Onion, but it's still here. Go and do Spy Cave, and then after Spy Cave, save and quit, and then you can go and clear the other Crystal Dungeons.
He's got Paradox Cave to do, too, don't forget. So he's got quite a lot. He's got Spiral Cave, Paradox Cave.
There's a lot of item locations over here in town.
It's such a high density. Ether's got to be here. And even if it's not here, you got to clear all of this out.
There's always a couple of other useful items that you can find here. The boots, obviously, helping out the lamp. There are a few dark rooms left that are a bit tricky, especially the ones in Mire.
Yeah, Death Mountain, because that hook shot of where it was in Palace of Darkness, and because of where that hammer and mirror were, this is not lamp locked where he is right now. So this could contain the lamp. Any of these locations could contain the lamp right now.
And the thing with the ether, as with any medallions, it can be anywhere except inside of Turtle Rock.
So that might be Dark Shadow's saving grace right now if he can come up with that ether medallion in an obscure location that you don't want to go to. He has not found it yet inside the town of Thieves. Got one more place to check though.
Yeah, the small key is locked inside of the big chest, so no hammer needed here.
Gets the ability to full clear. Very lucky on his part, but definitely going to pay off, especially if this ends up being ether.
Indeed, and Xelnas is quite likely to go ahead and do all of these crystal dungeons since he has to do them anyway. Especially Mire, because Mire is a bit weird because you don't really know where the big key is in the first place.
I don't know, being so close to go moding both Swamp Palace and Ice Palace, I am inclined to do all overworld that I can before touching those dungeons.
Blind is gonna go down here and, well, he got a sword upgrade from that trip and a pendant.
So that's going to be the first pendant for either of our runners here.
And unless ether is on pedestal, these pendant... Oh, there's Bombos. This pendant is not going to matter.
It certainly does have that possibility, and that might be Dark Shadow's saving grace here. If the ether is on pedestal here, but the odds are diminishing.
They are very slim. In his shoes, though, there is still a lot of items that can be there, but we know that there can only be one.
So nothing good in Paradox Cave, except for that Bombos medallion, which will certainly not be required today.
And Dark Shadows grabs the net. Xelnas didn't grab the net.
These runners are definitely capable without it, but with it being, pretty convenient, it's right there. You're already right next to it. I would be inclined to pick it up, even at a high level, the high level that these runners are racing at.
Well, Xelnas has actually used the net to successfully catch B in this tournament. Now, the B was never used.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's not often you see someone catch a bee right outside of Skull Woods.
Sometimes you just need that extra little buddy for the Mothiel fight.
Sometimes you need something from Ether Tablet, like vanilla.
And certainly a possibility here as we take a look, and it's just 20 rupees today.
Still has a lot of item locations left to check, and gonna go ahead and do Tower of Hera and then likely do Spike Cave after that if he doesn't find Ether here.
So all of East Death Mountain is cleared out. We've done everything we can there. We're going to have to head to the basement here. Both of our runners have already been inside Tower of Hera. So we'll see if he picks up that green pendant or not. He does not have any items out of here currently. And at this point, you're almost certainly going to be killing Moldorm.
Yeah, he does find the two items before that he may opt to skip. Routing to Sahasra is a bit difficult right now because Eastern is cleared in terms of items. Palace of Darkness is full cleared. It is a very one-off location. On the other hand, he is not going to come back up here to Death Mountain again until he has Ether.
I think the play is to kill Moldorm. I think it's to kill Moldorm. I think it's an excellent hedge here. And Moldorm, not the... Yeah, it's not the most challenging boss in the world, especially with that tempered sword. So I think he's got the ability to kill Moldorm pretty quickly without too much of a time loss. It's not something like, if you're in Thieves Town even and it's a pendant and you don't want to do it, like killing Blind can actually take some time. You gotta get the maiden, you gotta rescue her, you gotta bring her all the way up, then you gotta go through Blind's animations. Whereas Moldorm is a little bit of a quicker kill.
Yeah, I thought it was just simply that you don't like Moldorm, you just want Moldorm to die.
Oh no, I love Moldorm. Moldorm's the best boss in this game. Moldorm's the best part of this game.
Yeah, Moldorm give us these very interesting philosophical questions about living a life randomly going around in circles and asking us, what is the point?
Like, this is a boss that's not even designed to kill you, and it's just designed to waste time, and that's so brilliant, and that's so great for these races that we do here. In addition to that, there's a ton of mini Moldorms running around in the world. I don't know how Moldorm reproduces, but I would be interested to learn, because there are a lot of mini Moldorms. Are all of those Moldorms going to grow up and become like big Moldorms? I mean, assuming Link doesn't kill off the entire species here.
Well,
Or are they? Yeah, I don't know.
The interesting thing is that the mini Moldorms are actually called Moldorm, but the boss is also called Moldorm.
So I want to learn more about Moldorm and what's in canon, and if there's no canon on what's in Moldorm, I mean, I think we're gonna have to fill in the gaps ourselves.
Oh yes.
And so he's gonna be a spin and a slash here to take out the big worm, googly eye monster here. Gets it done, and comes up with just a map here, but we'll get that green pendant. So no ether as of yet on Xelnas's side. And Dark Shadow is going to head into Swamp without that hook shot, without that hammer. So just one chest available to him inside of Swamp Palace.
As Dark Shadows makes the massive gambles, Xelnas slays the Moldorm, but we will always remember Moldorm.
We'll see him again later on in this race, certainly.
Yeah, but is that the same Moldorm, or is it a different one?
I don't know. I don't have any idea. There's so many questions I have about Moldorm. So Zelda's going to skip out on Spike Cave. Does have the ability to clear it out. Hopefully we end up not regretting that decision later. And Dark Shadow is going to get this one chest in Swamp Palace before being forced to turn around and go back from whence he came. Just blue mail.
Xelnas will make the trip here to kill Mothula and will, after this, almost certainly check the pedestal just to have the information.
And I like this routing quite a bit. I like this because your equipment can only get better as far as being able to fight Mothula. And so he waited until he had the book and the mirror, and so he's going to be able to cross off this crystal on his way.
Oh, look at Dark Shadow's pathing here. Look at his routing here. I think he's going to take the teleporter to go to the witch, and then he's going to check Catfish into Zora, and then he's going to take this back, potentially, to go into ice. He's done this in the past. This is a really crazy route. You don't see this. You don't see this often, but this is how he plays.
That teleport is certainly not used very often, especially in the Dark World in this game.
It's going to pay off. He's going to get his hammer here. Xelna's going to use silver arrows to kill the Gibdos.
Regular arrows will not work on those Gibdos, but silver arrows do the trick just fine. And he's got most of a magic meter here ready to go for the Mothula fight. His Temper Sword going to be able to do a little bit more damage than the Fire Rod will be able to do. But he will... Oh, man. He was like a frame away from getting grabbed by that Wall Master. That Wall Master can grab you easy while you're falling. So this Fire Rod will have the ability to hit Mothula at range a little bit if you're looking to avoid those spikes. And takes out the big bug to get his crystal.
Yeah, no problem here for Xelnas getting this crystal, and will likely be seeing his pedestal check after this.
So Dark Shadows gets one step closer now to that go mode himself with that hammer from Quakefish. Gonna head up the mountain at this point, though. Doesn't have a hook shot, so he's gonna head over to East Death Mountain. Not gonna find anything of value there.
Well, he is also going to make the trip into Tower of Hera, possibly Spike Cave. The thing is, he hasn't gone back to the Mire shed to pick up the bow, and that is putting Palace of Darkness away. Meanwhile...
we got nothing on the pedestal.
That feels pretty basic. The thing is with this knowledge that if that was Ether there, you just know that, okay, I can go back into Easter and kill Armos, I can go into Thieves and just kill Blind, and then I'm done. But now you make the trip into Ice instead.
And Ice Palace going to have 3 items inside. You'd much rather go mode it, but you do have to clear it out one way or another. So Xelna's going to hope that Ether is here and hope that it's here early so he can still go mode as much as possible.
Yeah, DarkShadows here, making the trip into Tower of Hera. Zelda has not delivered in the green pendant yet.
I would definitely be inclined to turn in that green pendant as soon as possible. Even though it is a one-off location, like you said, it's a little bit out of the way. It would really reward that killing of Moldorm and validate it, and gives you the possibility at a quick go mode swamp. But we're going to go ahead and clear out swamp instead. Ice. This is Ice Palace. You can tell from all the ice everywhere. We're going to go ahead and full clear this. It is certainly the higher density location.
And technically, swamp is higher density here.
I don't know which one's faster, to be honest, as far as items per minute. Because there's going to be 3 in ice and 6 in swamp. It's going to be the 6 in swamp, though. Either way, I don't think this is an invalid play. I think this is one of those cases where both are valid plays, and you got to figure out which one would my opponent do. Do I want to do the same thing as my opponent, or do I want to do something different? And one way or another, Zelda's thought process has led him to Ice Palace.
Well, swamp is technically not 6 items, because it also will unlock Pyramid Fairy.
So that's another point for Swamp's favor.
It is 8 items, and, well, you're looking for 1 item. But at this point, you still have to do ice in the first place.
So maybe the time save is a lot greater in Swamp Palace. Maybe we're looking at saving that time, avoiding that left side of Swamp that is not exactly welcome from our runners here in this tournament. And Zelda's going to set up a bomb jump. This is going to save him a lot of time as far as navigating this, depending on... Oh, jeez, he takes a fall there.
Well, technically, if he is planning to full clear this, doing this bomb jump is not required.
No, it's certainly not, but it will... it depends on how he uses his hook shot, as far as whether or not it saves time or not. I like avoiding the bomb jump here, and DarkShadow's going to take a double fall.
He missed the bomb jump to the big chest. And he's gotten that in the past, so that's clearly something he knows how to do. Without
the boots, that bomb jump is quite difficult to make. There's only... It might only be even 1 pixel. But it's certainly not as forgiving as it would be when you have the boots and the ability to bonk.
There is a setup that you can do using 2 bombs, where you use the first bomb to line yourself up to the second one. It is much easier to learn, but not that many players use it, and obviously you have to use 2 bombs, and it's much slower because of that.
So nothing good in Ice Palace for Xelnas quite yet.
Still has a good amount of items left to check. DarkShadow's gonna play it safe now when you just drop down.
And you know, I like that, because some days you're just not feeling the bomb jump. Some days you're just not able to get the controller to move that 1 extra pixel that you need it to move. And so you got to do what's best for you in a given race scenario. And DarkShadow's definitely recognizing that, you know what, that bomb jump's just not going to work for me today. I'm just going to go ahead and do this the intended way. That's going to save me the most time. And that takes a lot. I mean, a lot of runners, especially in speed running, are going to be pretty stubborn and want to continually, get a trick and keep trying it, even though it's losing them time. But in a race, a 1v1 scenario, it's important to do what's best for you in a given situation. So good shout-outs to DarkShadows on that.
Indeed, and in his position, he knows he is behind. He cannot afford to lose much more time trying these tricks. He has to go with what's safe in these situations after already failing once. But he's gonna bring up the Moldorm death count to 2 and get himself the green pendant and continue eastwards on Death Mountain.
So going to be disappointed by what he finds on Eastern Death Mountain. There's a whole lot of nothing there. Especially considering how many items are there. Although that book might lead to something a little bit later on that Bombos tablet. And Zelda's going to get over to the cache of items on the right side of ice.
Yeah, 3 chests there is the most dense item location area inside of ice, and is the place that you just want to go ahead and get checked.
There's a question in chat about what glitches our runners are allowed to use. They're allowed to use anything that is classified as a minor glitch. So no major glitches, no clipping out of bounds, no screen scrolling, none of that nonsense. We're just looking for minor glitches. So you find more information about what minor glitches are on the Link to the Past Randomizer website or in the general Link to the Past community. So we'll get that some links in chat for you. Is it ALTTPR?
Yes, you need the A.
I need the A. Let me put that there. Yeah, there it is.
Zelda has found 400 rupees on the side of ice.
Well, I'm glad somebody's paying attention. So
You're
no ether yet. I mean,
yeah, no ether yet.
Geek also paying attention. That's our tracker here today.
Yeah, Tracker's been doing a fantastic job here today. There's been 2 or 3 items in ice. There was a 100 and a 300 rupees on the east side. Well, Sanos is going for coals there.
So gonna pick up the what crystal numbers is this? This is gonna be the 4th crystal on Xelnas's side. Ether here would be absolutely huge. Ether here is huge on either side at this point.
I mean, it is the one item that Xelnas is looking for here. Dark Shadow still has to make the trip back to the Mire shed and pick up the bow, which is going to lead him into Palace of Darkness to get himself the hookshot.
Where was that cape? I forgot.
Good question.
Somebody in chat remembers, though. They'll tell us.
Yeah, we're just gonna wait a little bit and then we will know.
Oh, Zelda's taking a death. Does he have a
fairy?
fairy? I hope he
picked up
does.
one more
I'm
fairy.
praying. All right, he's got that fairy.
Yeah, it was the fairy in Skullwood's big chest that he picked up earlier.
Green mail here gonna be difficult.
Lanmo had the cape.
Landmo had the cape. That's right.
That's the logic for Dark Shadows. You don't need the bow for that. So he could go back, pick up the bow, and then finish off Desert, and that gives him the cape, and that gives him the cane. It's a matter of making that play.
So Ice Palace is a dud, and we can confirm that at this point. I still like the Mire play. I like going into Mire right now. You're going to have to clear it out. It might be Xelnas is a little shy about that Dark Room. Mire Dark Room, one of the harder ones. And so you certainly have the bonus of maybe being able to find that lamp somewhere. But I like the Mire play quite a bit here. I'm confident he's able to do the Mire Dark Room if push comes to shove.
Yeah, I also like just doing Mire because, as stated, the big key location is so random. It's very difficult to know if it's going to be faster in go mode. He wants to do Swamp. Maybe do this with Bombo's tablet because he didn't check that earlier.
And Swamp also no dark rooms, and is that 5/6 crystal like you had mentioned earlier? Question in chat, where is Lamp? We have no idea.
Yeah, the lamp can be, well, there's still a lot of locations where the lamp could be. Xelnas is first going to make the trip over to Bombo's tablets. So the seed has been bootless.
I've noticed. Kind of slow going over here. We are 118 in, and we do have we are one item away from go mode on the right side of your internet here. Will this be it? Will it be hiding out on the Bombos tablet? Maybe. So we got a mushroom. We're gonna go turn that in right now.
Yeah, he's gonna use the flute and immediately deliver that in.
No, we're not.
Or not.
Oh no, he is.
Or,
okay.
Yeah, yes.
I thought he went to 3 instead.
Yeah, it looks like 3 to me too. Oh well, it is a 2.
We also have the ability to check for Hasala. We do have that green pendant. Nobody's turned that in yet.
Yeah, that is true. And yeah, apparently random math 2 equals 3. Also equals lamp.
We found that lamp, so that might make Mire a bit more of an appealing play here.
It's a good hero to spend his time is buying some blue potions just for safety. Still sitting on green mail. Well, that lamp was quite hidden in the sea.
What are you doing? Go into Mire. It's in Mire. Ether's in Mire. I'm calling it right now. Ether's in Mire. Stay away from Swamp.
Hey.
You want to do Go mode Swamp. Come on. Go to Mire.
Hey, you're the commentator, not the runner.
But I'm here to provide commentary as far as like an insight into what these runners are thinking. I think the allure of the 6 items plus the extra 2 on the Pyramid Fairy is very strong for Xelnas, but as far as a like, you're gonna have to look for that big key in Mire anyway. You're gonna have to. You already have the silver arrows and the bow. And
Ether's in Spike Cave.
Ether's in Spike Cave. Xelnas missed Spike Cave when he was up there. Oh my goodness!
Dear.
That's huge. So that could get Dark Shadows right back in this if he heads over to Misery Mire in the near future here.
That item just changes this entire race being in Spike Cave. Xelnas only has that item location left to check up there. He's gonna do a full clear swamp for nothing.
And this is certainly going to make up for a lot of the time doing that Thieves Town unnecessarily, doing that Aga Tower unnecessarily, but still has a lot of crystals left to go here.
Where's Dark Shadows heading?
He's heading up to, no, he's going to, I don't know where he's going. I'm not even going to speculate.
Yeah.
So this is why efficiency is important, because he had the ability to finish in that Spike Cave when he was doing the Death Mountain check, elected not to, or possibly even forgot about it. And ooh, look at the little white Mega Man. This is adorable. And so one way or another, that's going to cost him. It is now an out-of-the-way location. Not nearly. It's not part of anything else that you could route in there.
Check for Dark Shadows.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, I mean, having the knowledge, and it's the 3rd match that we're restreaming here with Dark Shadows this tournament. And the past 2 times, he has blindfolded the pedestal and found Yunk. So this time he actually gets the book, so he can check the pedestal before he does that. I mean, if it is here for him, he knows he can just go ahead and do Eastern, because he has the other 2 pendants, but it's just a big heart.
I can't believe Xelnas didn't do Spike Cave. This is suddenly a race. This is suddenly a race and a half right here.
I can't say it's the first time I've seen players skip Spike Cave when being up there. But yeah, Dark Shadows, he still needs to go to the Mire area to pick up the bow. That's gonna put him on the right path.
Mire area will result in the bow. It'll also result in the cape, which leads to the red cane. So unfortunately, like, he needs that cape to get to the red cane, and the cape is in desert. And so you don't want to head to the Mire area without being able to finish both desert and Mire. And unfortunately, that's not going to be possible today.
The bow will also lead him to Palace of Darkness, allow him to full clear that and get the hook shot. And that is what is needed. Bow, hook shot, and cane for him. I mean, sure, if he gets the lamp along the way, that seems pretty good. And, well, with this route, he may just get the lamp along the way, but he's going to start off with Peg Cave.
So everybody strap in. We are in for a lot of runners searching locations while we are in Commentators Go mode. We know where everything is.
Also, you were wrong on Mire. How do you feel? Oh, boots!
I feel like we get the boots, or at least going fast on the left side of our internet here. I still go to Mire. I still would have gone to Mire a long time ago.
Well, it's going to open up 2 more item locations for Dark Shadows. That's going to give him nothing, but at least he can do it fast.
And it looks like he's going to use those boots and dash right up there. No, he's pulling out the flute. I need to stop speculating on what he's doing.
Yeah, Dark Shadows routing is just crazy. It's impossible to follow it.
So we got red mail on Xelnas' side. We got like a yellow Mega Man going on now.
So both mail upgrades in Swamp Den, I think.
That is correct.
Dark Shadows is going to do Bombo's tablet, or now he has the hammer, so is he gonna make another dip into Swamp?
Without the hook shot, he doesn't have the ability to full clear it still. So I got to think this is just a Bombos tablet check.
Hopefully he goes into Desert after this. That's going to give him the cape, which is going to give him the cane. And that's at least going to put him on the road to go ahead and do Turtle Rock. So that's at least a crystal for him.
As well as Mire at that point, although neither of those will have any progression for him.
But the Mire will open up the shed, and hopefully we'll visit the shed.
Absolutely. So he does get that mushroom, does have the ability to turn that in for the lamp as Xelnas holds up his crystal. That's crystal number 5 for him.
Yeah, he's 4 crystals ahead at this point, but that ether is so elusive. When is he going to check that?
He does have the left side of Swamp to check out. We'll see if he ends up going back in or not. Looks like he's not going to. That's a gamble that's going to pay off for him today.
Indeed, and he's going to go up and do Pyramid Fair right now. Dark Shadows is going to do these bonk spots. I mean, half magic. I was going to say half magic is the only good thing he can get, and he gets half magic.
It's certainly a welcome safety for the later stages in this game. Also going to help with stuff like Cold Stare and any other magic-intensive fight, as Xelnas picks up his big bomb and heads to the disappointing Pyramid Fairy.
I mean, he could find the final bottle there.
I don't think he wants to find the final bottle. I think he wants to find that ether. But he forgot Spike Cave, and that's going to cost him.
It will indeed cost him. I still feel like he's 4 crystals ahead at this point, and Dark Shadows is going to get the cape now. It is going to give him the cane, and he might finally put him on the road to go ahead and do Mire Shed. The thing here is that Xelnas, since Turtle Rock is guaranteed go mode, it is the final dungeon that you will be able to do. Also, yeah, this was the lamp, not the cape. The cape is in lamp mode. What am I talking about?
So where do you go? Both of our runners have to be panicking at this point. They have to have a little bit of a panic. Like, where are these items? They both know that they've done a lot of unnecessary checks. They've done on the left
Come on,
side.
Dark Shadows. Yes.
All right, so we're going to the Mire area. That could lead to Shed. Meanwhile, Zelda's finally going to go into Mire himself. Not going to find anything there though.
Oh, the Dark Shadows here. Oh no, he's going to bring up the flute. Okay, this is still fine as long as he checks the Mire Shed after. Why is he not checking the Mire Shed?
Because he is. Well, I don't know why he's not checking the Mire Shed, but he's going to go in the desert first, one way or another. As Xelnas opens up Mire itself.
I have this fear that he tried to Super Bunny into Mire Shed, so I fear that he thinks he's checked it.
And it's certainly a possibility that I share with you at this point in the run. He's walked by it now twice, or 3 times if you count the Super Bunny attempt.
We will learn after.
I don't even know if it was a Super Bunny attempt. He was kind of looking to avoid that bird, I think, more than anything. He didn't even check if he was in the Super Bunny state.
The tracker is pointing out that he has not marked it, so that means he still knows that he needs to do that, or he can do that. And Tracker's been great today, OSS Geek.
And we're going to do Fire Rod strats here on Land.
Oh my god.
As we get that first big key in the first chest in Mire, so that's actually going to be tough. So Dark Shadows picks up the cape.
Yeah, this is a perfect go mode Mire. Yes. Of course, when you're looking for that one final item, and we know it's not there, so this is painful for Zelda, so he's going to be forced to search this place for the 2 items. Come on, Dark. No, Dark Shadows. Oh, no.
This is brutal. This is absolutely brutal.
Well, here's the thing. He's going to get the cane, and the cane is going to lead him back to Mire, so maybe he's going to check the Mire Shed then.
Definitely a possibility, and like our tracker has pointed out on his stream, he does not have the Mire Shed marked on his location tracker, so...
We'll get the cane, and Zelda is gonna be spending some time here with a cutscene in Mire.
A little bit of a glitch here. As you're pushing these blocks, as they're moving, the game doesn't think they exist, so you're able to fire rod right through them. Cutting down on the time spent lighting these torches here.
I mean, this ether location is making this a real race right now. Xenos is soon going to be 5 crystals ahead of Dark. Oh, actually 4. Desert has been cleared. 300 rupees in Mire. It's enough to buy a blue potion, but he's already bought that.
We can also see Dark Shadows head up to Turtle Rock here. There are 6 items in Turtle Rock.
Nope, Mire.
Alright, so he's going to Mire. I like the Mire play, given what he has in his inventory. I like the Mire play a lot better. I mean, as I've talked about before, I like Mire as soon as you're able to do it.
Shed.
And
Yes!
gotta check that shed. So he's going to get his bow here. That puts him a hook shot away from go mode. We know that hook shot is in Palace of Darkness. So despite having a crystal deficit, much closer to go mode than Xelnas is on the right, having skipped Spike Cave for that Ether Medallion.
Dark Shadows now has a route to follow. He now has crystal dungeons he can full clear, and he knows there's only one item I need.
Palace of Darkness, certainly the next logical choice here.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna go back into Swamp since he's already been in there once without the hookshot, so he knows the hookshot cannot be there. So it's either Palace of Darkness or Turtle Rock, and I feel like you in 99% of the time will go into Palace of Darkness. In regards to this Eastern Palace here, all 3 items have been checked, so there is nothing in there. The pendant doesn't give anything, it's just a big heart on the pedestal.
Still don't have that Shurahasla check, though, from Xelnas.
Oh yeah, we still do have the old man left. I think Dark Shadows will deliver that in before going into Palace of Darkness. That also makes it more lucrative than Turtle Rock. And Dark Shadows, of course, will be able to do these dungeons faster having the boots, allowing him to save time. Or save time he is gaining on Xelnas. I do see here from Xelnas that he has the map left, so... Guess what the boss is going to drop?
Gonna forego using silver arrows, use NMG strats here. We're gonna do spin attacks on these eyeballs. What he's doing, those eyeballs can hurt quite a bit. So what he's doing is he's just taking 1 hearted damage by stepping on the swamp goo, using those invisibility frames to position himself with that spin attack such that he can take out as many of those eyeballs as possible. It does so expertly, and 2 silver arrows into the big one results in that small key.
Okay, so he did just find the 2 items earlier, so there's still a map somewhere inside of Mire. Also, how did Dark Shadows route this Mire? Is he just go-moding this?
He may be rushing the boss, certainly. Wanting to avoid that cutscene for 1 item. We'll see if he goes back in for it, as it did have an item, but it was not the hookshot that he is looking for at this time.
Indeed, it was just 300 rupees. Zelda's now spending some time to think about where to go. And still thinking.
Spike Cave.
Thieves Town?
No, he's going to go check Hammer Pegs. At least he'll get his boots here. He does have Thieves Town available to him as well.
Yeah, still 4 items inside of Thieves Town.
And Dark Shadow's also going to not pull out the silver arrows here. Going to go with the cape instead. Cape, Gold Sword, and Dashing is pretty effective here as all those eyeballs go down pretty quick. And we're just going to do slashes. I think it's 8 slashes with the Gold Sword against Vitreous. And it is indeed. The bouncing eye explodes.
It's Thieves Town for Xelnas. This is going to give him a sword upgrade, which is something.
No, it's nothing but a waste of time at this point.
I mean, we know that it's a waste of time, but at least he gets something making this trip.
This is brutal for both of our runners here.
DarkShadows has had his brutal path coming up to now, but if he makes this trip into Palace of Darkness, he's gonna be in go mode. Oh, but he's going back in first to check item locations. Never mind, it's still brutal for DarkShadows.
So putting the sword beams a good use in that Wizrobe room, taking those out as Xelnas makes his way through Thieves Town.
And Sally has already found the sword, so there is nothing more in here for him to get, and he has checked the pedestal, so he knows the pendant is not required. And I do think that the blind dropped like a bomb capacity upgrade or something.
And blind does have an item. So we will see that blind fight as Xelnas pausing before deciding to come here. We'll definitely fight blind for that final item.
Yes, DarkShadows found the piece of heart there, and then there's 300 rupees in the big key chest.
So we're missing a hookshot on the left. The hookshot is in Palace of Darkness, and we're missing the Ether Medallion on the right. The Ether Medallion is in Spike Cave. And neither of our runners is going to be able to find the item they're looking for in the locations that they are currently.
Indeed, and this would be a crazy way to end if DarkShadow's going to take this after that Dark Aga 1, which gave him absolutely nothing.
It is not over till it's over. Xelnas unable to route in that Spike Cave, capitalize on his lead at this point, and is watching it slowly diminish.
Yeah, having to do these pendant dungeon checks, and you're going into Thieves Town here, and you have to think, have my opponent already checked this so much earlier? I must be so far behind if the Ether is in here. Still doesn't know, it's not in here.
So 2 more chests for Xelnas, and 1 more for DarkShadows as he goes to the vanilla big key.
Yeah, we'll get his 300 rupees after waiting through the cutscene, and it's that moment of truth. Is he gonna make the Palace of Darkness play after this? It feels like the most logical way to go.
I can't imagine not doing pod immediately after this on DarkShadow's side, but I've been surprised before.
I mean, this is DarkShadows, and he certainly has a way to route things. We will see in some 15 seconds where the bird duck thing will take him.
But Zelda's going to be running out of locations to check. He knows there's nothing on the pedestal, so he's certainly not going to go back into Eastern Palace. He might go... So what does he have left? He has Hammer Pegs, which will give him 2 more locations in King's Tomb and Bonk Rocks.
Very nice!
You gotta be kidding me.
No.
Alright, we're doing a full clear. We're doing a full clear eye. So Zelda's may still be ahead just based on there's nothing left to check. You gotta go to Spike Cave.
Yeah, he's gonna get the boost to the bonk locations, but after that, I'm not sure. And yeah, this play from DarkShadows just keeps on surprising us. The absolute madman deciding to do this without the hook shot. He even has everything he needs for Palace of Darkness, which is a crystal. And he has the green pendant to give into Sahaswala, but still he prefers the 3 items inside of ice for some reason. I know that he almost certainly feels like he is still behind in this race because of the early Dark Aga 1. But, I mean, maybe there is a limit to how many gambles you can take.
No, I think this is still a gamble. I think this is definitely a gamble because you want your opponent to be trying to go mode this, and you want that not to be possible. So that's why he's heading into here. Meanwhile, Xelnas gets the bad news about Thieves Town. I'm gonna finally head over to Trahasala.
Well, after Trahasala, what does he? It just have the bonks, and then he has Spy Cave. Is there anything else that he hasn't checked?
Certainly not that's coming to my mind right now.
Nope, I can't think of anything. Well, there isn't really anything useful that's a hustle I can have in the first place. So I mean, Piece of Hearts is better than 5 rupees.
A couple of questions in chat. One about clearing Ice Palace anyway. What's the difference between clearing Ice Palace and clearing Ice Palace without checking any of the chests? It is significantly faster. You'll notice the right side of Ice Palace is completely out of the way, and you'll be able to skip that entirely. So a go mode Ice Palace is significantly faster. We're talking on the order of minutes when you do not have to check any items. So definitely something our runners want to do, especially in this final round of the Swiss.
Yeah, we're gonna see the Spy Cave check now from Zelda. He's gonna get his go mode item. He will not have boots, so there is still that risk of boots on the torch in Ganon's tower.
And he is going to be quite upset at himself, I have to imagine.
He has to feel behind, knowing that he skipped out on this location earlier. And just looking at the dungeons cleared, he has effectively acquired the Eastern Pendant as well, since he's got all the items in there.
And at 141.09, we have go mode on the right side of your internet.
Potential go mode depending on where the big key is in Ganon's tower, because it could be on the torch.
And we see that Aga Tower play really is the difference here. If that Aga Tower play doesn't happen, then we have a much closer race than what it's becoming. So now Xelnas back in the lead, back to making progress, and Dark Shadow's going to skip out on that right side of Ice Palace. So only checked a couple of items in ice before heading to Cold Stare. That's because the hook shot, because there wasn't a small key in that first chest, logically the hook shot cannot be on the right side of Ice Palace. So he does get to do kind of a half go mode ice here.
Yeah, we'll get an item there and the finish of this crystal. Fortunately for him, Xelnas has a significant lead over him at this point.
So we're going to head into Turtle Rock, the 7th and final Crystal Dungeon.
Yeah, and Turtle Rock isn't all that much faster in go mode. You still have to basically go through all of the item locations anyway, except for Laser Bridge. But if the small key is on Laser Bridge, you may still have to check every single item location there.
So chat, quick to point out that the boots could still be required here for Ganon's Tower. There's a 1 in 22 shot that we end up needing those boots. That is not something that, it's something that our runners are aware of, or Xelnas in particular, as he does not have the boots, but it is not something he's really worried about. He's in go mode right now as far as he's concerned. If he picks up the boots along the way, which of course we know that he will not, as those are sitting in hammer pegs, but then great. But if not, he's still going to go right into Ganon's Tower after this. I can't imagine him checking Mimic Cave even, or stopping to check additional chests on Laser Bridge once he has all the small keys and the big key.
In Zelda's situation, you feel like you are significantly far behind. You have to cut the corners that you believe that you can cut, and Mimic Cave is definitely one of those.
Odds are, from Xelnas' perspective, is that boots are in Ganon's Tower somewhere anyway. I mean, think about how much of this game he has checked.
And both our players, to be honest, very high collection rates. Been in all the Pendant dungeons, all the Crystal dungeons. None of them have been go-moded.
I don't know. I wouldn't classify this as a troll seed either. It was just our runners, and you know, to our runners' credit, you need if you're gonna be successful in this tournament, you got to do something different than your opponent. You have to make these gambles. You have to take these risks, and they did that. And unfortunately, that didn't quite work out for either of them. But somebody's going to be moving on here at the end of the day. So we'll see if those boots end up paying off. But right now, Xelnas has quite a significant lead. Dark Shadows is well on his way to get that hookshot, though, his final go mode item.
And the thing is that Xelnas had a very good opportunity to go and check Spy Cave after having done Tower of Hera, but he decided to not do that. And at that point, if you decide to make that decision, then you're very well aware that, okay, I sort of gamble on this item not being here. This location is not required. And that means that I have to check everything else and hope that that thing is not required. We also saw that early with Dark Shadows, so he opted for a very interesting path that made him skip Ice Rod Cave. There wasn't anything in Ice Rod Cave, but because of how the early game progressed, he still had to go back there. So even if he didn't do the Dark Aga one, he still would have been behind in the early game because he had to make 2 trips over to that area to check Ice Rod Cave.
You know, you get it in your head like double dipping is bad. I don't want to double dip, and I'm going to avoid double dipping at all costs because I can see other runners when I watch races. You know, they lose because they have to double dip, and they're willing to make those double dips. But it turns out that attitude was not appropriate for today's race. Double dips were certainly required. We're going to see a hammer jump here from Dark Shadows. As he's going to pause buffer his way to hammer jumping glory. Just got it on the last frame there. Gets over into that big chest.
Yeah, he's very well experienced with that jump in the past. I'm pretty certain the Xelnas did not check the Mimic Cave just as expected.
Yeah, no, we don't want Mimic Cave. So going backwards through this dark maze, definitely going to be advantageous for Dark Shadows. He's going to be able to get away without using a mirror here.
Oh, no.
Walks right past the hookshot chest. That's okay. I think he needs a key from down here anyway. And there's that small key he's going to need. So he wouldn't need that small key if he avoided the Harmless Hellway, which is the room south of
there's
the
a small
room he's
key in
entering
Harmless
right now.
Hellway.
Because he didn't check the vanilla big key. That's why. I understand.
Yep. I think the map was there.
I understand. That makes sense. So he's got his hook shot at 147.20. I don't know, 3 we'll call it. He is in go mode, and Zelda's going to take a little bit of a detour here in the maze, pick up a full magic and a heart as well. So we're looking at the amount of time behind, so we still have a Swamp Palace. It's going to get to be a go mode Swamp Palace for Dark Shadow, but still not going to be something that Xelnas has to worry about doing at this point, as he's already done it. Xelnas is going to need a small key from the bridge, pulls out that blue cane, immediately gets it, going to check the rest of these chests, has a bunch of magic, knows that there's a full magic refill in his way here, and just going to use a blue potion, actually, to check this last one.
This is likely half magic or boots, just to give that last bit of extra oomph, but we know both those items have already been acquired.
I don't like using that blue potion there. I think you want to save that. I think you want to just skip that chest. Or, conversely, this is where practice comes into play, where you're looking at doing the bootless skip. The bootless, invincibility, itemless skip for the laser bridge. Not something that comes up terribly often, but if you want to check that last item while you're here, it came up.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. I do think that Xelnas has 1 or 2 blue potions as well in the back.
He does have multiples, but you never know. You just never know. So we got a gold sword, so we don't even need full magic here. We're just gonna use one shot each for each of these heads. You can't switch items while Trinex is exploding, so he had to wait there to switch to the fire rod. And he's got one shot left. Better make it count, and he does. And just not enough, so going to have to use a second blue potion here. And this is what I'm talking about. He could be going into Ganon's Tower if he had picked up the full magic refill right before this boss. And if he had avoided that last chest, he could be going into Ganon's Tower with 2 extra blue potions. So it just goes to show you how you gotta kind of pick and choose your spots in this game. But does get a nice phase 2 Trinex kill with that spin, hitting Trinex twice, and the slash to the head, taking down the weird worm thing, and pulling out that 7th crystal as Dark Shadows makes quick work of Helma on the left side.
Well, I guess with that, it's time to play this little game. You know, there's a big key in Ganon's Tower somewhere. 22 possible locations for it. Or
you better start it quick too, because we are. How do we start it here? Did you start it?
Of course.
Oh, there we go. All right, we're good. We're good.
We are good, of course. There are 22 possible item locations inside. Or 22 possible item locations where this big key can be. So obviously take your guesses on where you think it's going to be. And if you're a subscriber to any of the speed gaming channels and or have donated at least 250 bits and you're the first to guess right, you'll be entering the leaderboard. And indeed, do get those guesses in quickly because we are already entering Ganon's Tower.
So Dark Shadow is going to get to do his Go Mode Swamp Palace for his 6th crystal. Then going to do a Go Mode Turtle Rock. Same as Xelnas basically, but so he is going to be a solid 2 crystal dungeons behind, despite finding that Ether Medallion first. And it just came down to efficiency. It just came down to the fact that Xelnas was able to check things a little bit more efficiently. He was willing to make those double dips, which turned out to be necessary.
You see a forced left side here in Ganon's Tower, the first 2 item locations just being regular items.
So this is the big moment of truth right here, and we just get 10 arrows, so boots are not going to be required for this seed at all. So we are for sure in go mode here.
Yeah, absolutely, and sadly Bob lives. As Dark Shadows continues here through Swamp, item number 4 is going to be a small key. And number 5 is going to be another small key. Finding all these small keys are still quite nice to get early on. 6 is the final bottle. And 7 is going to be a big bomb capacity upgrade.
So Ganon's Tower, just execution at this point for Xelnas. He's going to get to show off what he's practiced as far as Ganon's Tower running goes.
And number 8 was just a piece of heart, and let's see which strategy. Ooh, this is an interesting one. I've not seen this one before.
Red boomerang, a little bit different physics than the blue boomerang. Blue boomerang, you'll see runners kind of shoot it up and to the right here. But Xelnas not even going to go for boomerang strats on the 2nd crystal switch room as he heads further into Ganon's Tower.
And it's Fire Snake room here with the location number 9, and then after this is the Rando room.
Nobody checked left side swamp. That's weird. I would have thought for sure. So that was another location Zelda had left. Was left side swamp. I don't think he did that at all.
Well, there can't really be anything there.
Well, not at this point, obviously.
Yeah, that was quite the gamble actually from Zelda deciding to skip out on that.
That's one I would not have been able to make.
It's a 10 through 13 here. A piece of heart, bone capacity upgrade, another piece of heart, and 5 rupees.
17 hearts, red mail, gold sword, silver arrows. We are all set. That is the sign that you have collected a lot of items. So while our runners are both going through these things here, we're going to remind you to give them a follow. They have put on one heck of a show today, and we might be seeing Xelnas here in the final top 128 bracket, should the tiebreakers go his way. So give these runners a follow. They've certainly earned it. Follows are also free. You don't need to pay for follows or anything. So just click follow.
Oh, Dark Shadows. He did a dash strat.
Yeah, he's doing well on this fight. Not quite where you want to be in an NMG run, but still definitely very, very strong for being able to poke that.
Both pots.
So Zelnus is going to have to reset this or do a bomb jump here. Gets the bomb jump first try. That's beautiful. If you leave and re-enter this room, it will reset those pots. So in the event this happens to you, that's what you do.
Item location number 14 with the map heading into Ice Armos.
Oh, chat pointing out he doesn't have boots, so he's not going to be able to bonk anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Huh. That's a good point. You do need the boots to bonk, so either the bomb jump was necessary or take a more traditional route through the invisible platforms.
300 rupees piece of heart and just one arrow from Ice Armos. It is east side, or is it tile room?
Definitely going to be on the right side. So we got 5 chests remaining out of our possible 22 where that big key could be.
And
you know, I like it. I like it when this ends up being the case because you get to see the full Ganon's Tower. I don't want to see tile room. I'm not pulling for 22 or anything. I'm not one of those people. But I am excited to see the full 22 here. Zelnus, however,
tile room gamble.
He's going to go for the tile room. And so what he's doing here, he pulled out the cape. You notice his magic meter not going down. He's grabbing the wall. And this game is, you know, it's not really able to do 2 things at once. And so what you get is when you're grabbing a wall with the cape active, it just doesn't use any magic. The wall master can't grab you because you're invisible. The bunny beam keeps trying to follow you, but again, you're invisible. The tiles try to hit you, but you're invisible. So you're just pretty much holding the A button and chilling out while these tiles finish what they're doing. You can't run away from that bunny beam. And just a piece of heart. So 4 remaining.
Yeah, 4 remaining item locations. This final room, and remember, this was a forced left side Ganon's Tower. There was no small key on the right. So Dark Shadows will not be able to do this unless he's gonna pull some Dark Magician strat on us.
And I've seen routings that involve, you know, the Dark Magician route and variants on it more and more frequently as we've gotten into the later stages of this race, especially at the higher caliber players have been doing it. So we might see an uptick in popularity in such a route here to the point where Dark Shadows does try it. Finally, we get that big key. And we're not even checking those last 2 chests, so that was number 20.
No, that was number 19.
What?
No, wait, I'm miscounting. I forgot he did the tile room.
Okay, cool. I was like, how did I miscount that? There were only 2 left.
I have a list here.
Everything's good.
I have a list, but the list presumes that you do tile room last. So, oh no, Samus is stuck. Okay, we'll be able to salvage that.
He's good. Everything's fine.
So 20. Congratulations to Nanohertz for being the closest guesser at 19. So I guess it still worked out.
So Zelna's going to manipulate these mimics into the path of his bow here. Very reliable to just kind of hold out the direction of your, hold the sword the entire time to manipulate that second red mimic room. It's not going to be the fastest way to do things, but it is going to be very reliable. And in a race situation, it's important to know your own skill, know what you've practiced, because it's tough to practice absolutely everything in these runs. So know what you've practiced, know your skills, know what the fastest way you have to do a given part here in these races. So Zelnus with no boots going to have one heck of a time getting across that gap to the safety room. He doesn't need it anyway. He's got plenty of resources going. Neglects to pick up that small magic. I don't know about that play. Does he have any blue potions left? He might have one.
Oh, disregard.
There's a full magic right there. Grab that. All right, we're good. We're good. Everything's fine.
A good thing he got shot there by the laser, so he picked it up.
Yeah, I don't know about skipping magic refills right now. But he got the full refill.
He did get
and Dark Shadows. Go ahead.
I think the final bottle that he found in here was a red potion.
It was red potion. Not going to do much for his magic situation. but I think he might have bought a third blue potion.
They could have, but meanwhile, the silver arrow is extremely impressive one cycle.
So get his revenge on Landmo. This previous Landmo fight, he did not have that nice one cycle that he got right there. So good for him getting that revenge.
Zelda's now gets to use the cane here. Very simple strats here on the Wizrobes.
And Dark Shadow is going to go ahead and go to the big chest.
Oh, Zelda's got hit there by a Wizrobe, so he couldn't fire off the cane block.
Gets it on the third cycle, though, so those guys are all dead.
There's
No
a very
boots
nice
to dash through
salvage
this
there.
room.
Yeah, he salvaged that very well with that final shot.
And pulls out the fire rod. Doesn't need the lamp for this part. Got plenty of magic. A full magic meter is worth 8 fire rod shots. You only need 4 in this room. You know there's a couple of small magic pots. Plus you have a full magic refill right here that he's going to go and take the opportunity to get.
And then there's still the full magic refill in the room before Moldorm 2, and also does have the powder to use on the Anti-Fairies.
So he'll be looking at a full resources Moldorm 2. Skips those 2 chests and that last small key inside that Helma.
Yeah, there's basically boots or half magic, but he feels like he doesn't need them at this point. He's gone through all the magic intensive parts as well. He doesn't need a torch glitch when you do have silver arrows.
So 1 slash down from Moldorm, just 1 left to finish off the worm for the second time.
Oh, the life of a Moldorm.
Oh, it's so close. All right, we got it. We got there. It's done. Moldorm explodes.
It's been nice knowing you, good friend.
Sleep now, sweet prince. So this is one of the more trickier rooms in the game when you don't have the boots. It's very rare that you end up seeing runners in here with no boots, but Xelnas with that red mail only is going to take half a heart of damage.
I mean, 16.5 hearts moving into Aga 2 and Ganon, it feels pretty good. That's the wrong button there, Dark Shadows. You don't want that menu. There's a nice double there on the first cycle.
And Dark Shadow is going to avoid. Nice double on the second cycle, too. He could 3-cycle this. And gets it.
That's a very nice hit on 3-cycle, 2-2-2.
So we're off to fight Ganon here, just over the 2-hour mark. And you're glancing, you're looking every single time you have an opportunity at that Speed Racing TV timer. See if your opponent has finished yet. And sweating bullets on both sides, I imagine, right now, as Dark Shadows holds up his 7th and final crystal.
And sadly, he does have an entire tower to go through and a very late big key at that. As Ganon speaks nonsense as per usual.
So just 6 hits on the big pig are necessary in order to proceed to the next stage, and then 6 more hits. That butter sword going to do a lot of work. We're going to pull out the cape here.
This cape leads me to believe that he does have a blue potion.
Yeah, he must.
And once Ganon finishes teleporting, and as Dark Shadows goes into Ganon's tower, start firing some silver arrows. And Dark Shadow is actually going straight left, so this is actually going to save him a little bit of time. Unless he's going to do Dark Magician, that's going to save him a lot of time. How did that not hit?
Unclear, but he does get the torch glitch here. And pulls out the fire rod. So he better have that blue.
Oh, triple setup.
No, only got a single there. Yeah, pulls the lamp back out. It's going to have 2 more lamps, I believe, here.
Dark Magician threats.
So that'll be good news for Dark Shadow, but unfortunately, the bad news is going to be xelnasTV finishing this race, getting the victory here to move on to 4 and 3. Let's get GG's in chat for xelnasTV.
And it's been a very well-played seed for Xelnas. Apart from skipping out on Spy Cave, he has played this seed extremely well, as he's going to finish this with an official Speed Racing TV time of 2 hours, 4 minutes, 25 seconds.
And definitely get those GG's in chat, and remember to give a follow to both of our runners. They put on one heck of a show here for the first match of round 7 here in the Link to the Past Randomizer Spring 2018 tournament. We'll see if we can get Xelnas here on an interview and shift the focus over to Dark Shadow, who is in the tile room. Going to go full right now. Wants to see what that tile room, using the same cape strats as we saw on the right side of your internet. And we are joined now by xelnasTV. Xelnas, GG's.
I don't know how I won that, but yes!
Ouch.
Well, certainly congratulations to you for that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and ask the hard question here. At any point, did you feel like you were ahead or behind?
I felt behind when I saw the. I felt ahead when I realized that Wavy Coin was, what's it called? At Zora, as it just showed. But yeah.
Well, that certainly ended up being a good play.
And then behind. And then behind when I realized I didn't have ether.
So as far as that ether medallion, did you skip Spike Cave on purpose, or was that something that just slipped your mind? Or what happened with that ether medallion in Spike Cave? Because you were up on Death Mountain, you had access to it, and you saved and quit right after Hera.
I remember. So when I was going back for Spike Cave originally, I remembered what I said in my head before. What's it called? Before, like, I remembered as I was walking up Death Mountain, I remembered the exact words I said as I was walking into Hera. Well, there's 3 items in Hera. Green Pendant's one of them, and then I can do Spike Cave right after, and then, and then I can just do dungeons. But I just kind of forgot that part about doing Spike Cave.
Well, I have a feeling you won't forget it nearly as easily in the future here after that race. Now, as far as this tournament, this advances you to 4 and 3. There are a handful of spots available to 4 and 3 runners in that final top 128 bracket. That aside, what were your goals for this tournament? Now that the Swiss round has concluded for you, what were your goals, and did you meet them?
Well, my goal originally was getting into brackets, but I'll settle for winning record.
4 and 3, certainly nothing to be ashamed of. That is a very impressive record, and you had quite an impressive tournament here in order to achieve that. So GG's to you, and congratulations on that. I wish you the best of luck in getting those tiebreakers. How do you think your tiebreakers are going to stack up against the rest of the 4 and 3 runners?
Well, I'm pretty sure that the way it's done is to what's it called? Is like the only people who are going to make it are people who were like 4-0 in week 4, like who won 4 in a row. Like I'm pretty sure that only those people. So I don't think I have any chance. I know
at this
it's
point,
like
you've certainly done all you can. So nothing to do but to be proud of that winning 4 and 3 record that you finished with. So definitely GG's to you for that. That is quite the accomplishment.
I think that because none of my opponents dropped out, I have a better chance. As far as I know, I didn't see any of my opponents drop out. So
I will tell you, Swift tournament math is not my specialty. It is more challenging than it appears to be, as Dark Shadows here takes out Land Mode 2. Yeah, do you have any questions over there?
Wait, where is my opponent?
Ganon's Tower. So unfortunately, he ended up he did not want to do Eastern Palace early. He wanted to avoid that at all costs, and all costs included doing Dark Aga Tower. So that was quite the time sink, and that ended up being the difference in this race. He had Ether a lot earlier, but spent a long time looking for the hook shot in Palace of Darkness. Did not go to hook shot for a while. Had skipped Mire shed for the bow. So yeah, definitely take a look at the race again. I think there's something for everybody to learn here, including how great a commentating job my partner here did.
Well, oh, I'm still here. Hi.
I don't know. That is very interesting choice to go to Dark Aga before Eastern. Like he at least checked. He at least got his sword right from. I guess he had to have.
Yes, he did. He ended up with the Master Sword going in there. Certainly didn't have the cape at that point. Regardless, again, congratulations. Give this guy a follow, xelnasTV. We'll get that link there in chat for you. Put on one heck of a show here today, and you can go into his chat and remind him, check that Spike Cave. Don't forget Spike Cave.
I mean, Spike Cave was like a very small play, so...
So we're going to watch Dark Shadows here finish this run up. He has just defeated Moldorm 2. Going to hookshot across to this chest. He's going to have a little bit of fun with it, maybe. No, we're just going to walk right by it. Last chest in the game. He knows he is out. He knows he's fallen to 3 and 4, but he is determined to finish this monster of a seed. He did manage to find those boots. Those boots were in Hammerpeg Cave. Pulls out the cape here, having a little bit of trouble in the mini Homa room.
So, Zelnas, you did get the green pendant, but you spent quite a lot of time waiting before handing that in. Why was that the case?
Because it takes bloody forever to hand in the green pendant when you've already done Eastern and the other thing.
So that means I was right.
Yeah, it takes forever. I did Hera. I finished Hera purely just to have the pendant in case it needed it, because the trip up to Hera would have taken long as well. And I think right up until I pressed the menu to the flute, I think I intended to do Spike Cave, so I just kind of messed up there.
When you got the Dark World access and you did the Skullwoods Village of Outcasts area, was there ever a consideration at that point to go into Pendant Thieves?
I didn't really no, because it was something spheres, something low probability. The only reason I went into it later was because it was the most item dense area. I'm just glad I didn't forget Spike Cave. It was always in the back of my mind as a check, but wow, 178 completion or collection rate. Jeez.
Good enough for the W here in round 7, as Dark Shadows is going to... I'm very curious to see Dark Shadows collection rate as well. He's going to enter phase 2 of the Ganon fight with this half magic, and Butter Sword and Silver Arrows should not be too much of a problem.
Also, that hammer on Catfish. My routing worked out so well accidentally.
That hammer on Catfish was definitely a big part of what put you ahead in this seed. Took Dark Shadow quite a bit of time to get there.
Wait, he didn't go straight to like Catfish after doing Dark Aga? That's why I would have done Aga.
But he didn't have the Moon Pearl because he hadn't gone into Eastern to pick up the flutes.
Right. Oh wow, he didn't even do. Wow,
no,
that's such an interesting decision.
He didn't do Eastern. He did everything except for Eastern, and then did Dark Aga 1.
Wow.
One final hit here on Ganon with the Silver Arrows. Gets it through the Big Pig. Put a fork in it. We're done. So that is the end of this round 7 first race of the Spring 2018 Link to the Past Randomizer Tournament. We're going to give you one more reminder as we try to get Dark Shadows in here for an interview. Give these runners a follow. They put on one heck of a show for us tonight.
And Dark Shadows will finish with an official speed racing time of 2 hours, 30 minutes, 21 seconds. And I have to say, this race looked pretty over after that Dark Aga 1 play by Dark Shadows, but in the end, it actually turned out to be quite a race anyway.
That Ether Medallion certainly was elusive for a long time, but thankfully Xelnas's efficiency in routing really paid off for him in the end. He was just simply running out of locations while still having an absolutely monster lead, and so was able to keep that. And now we welcome in DarkShadows59. DarkShadows, GG.
Hey, thanks.
So obviously, Dark Aga won. What made you go for that play?
At that point, all I had left was Eastern Palace. So my mind's like, oh, the lamp's there. I should be able to do Dark Aga 1 and find Moon Pearl or something on the pyramid.
Well, unfortunately, that didn't work out for you. After it didn't work out and it was clear you had to go and do that Eastern Palace dip, what was going through your mind? What was the thing that was gonna get you back in this race?
I was hoping that Green Pendant or just something out of the way would pay out, which it did in Spike Cave.
You certainly had that Ether Medallion long before Xelnas did, but unfortunately it was not quite enough. He had everything else. Ether was his go mode item.
Yeah, Hookshot was my go mode, which that's why I did Ice Palace early, actually.
I think that makes sense. So I noticed you skipped right side of Ice Palace despite being able to get there via the bomb jump, knowing that because there was no key in that first chest, you were able to skip that right side Ice Palace. That was a very good heads-up routing play.
Yeah, if I found the Hookshot early, then I was in go mode and could go mode the rest of it. If not, that didn't change my Ice Palace at all.
Well, definitely a good heads-up play for that there then. As far as your 3 and 4 now. The tournament is over as far as the Swiss stages are concerned. What were your goals coming into this tournament?
Well, I was hoping to go positive, but that didn't work out. All of my matchups were like really tight, all the way from even my first round. I won my first round by a mere 32 seconds.
Always nice to see those close races, and certainly 3 and 4 are still very respectable. You have nothing to be ashamed of, and I know we're going to see you in future tournaments, and you will undoubtedly come out with a winning record in those future tournaments. So give both of these guys a follow. They put on one heck of a show. They are both going to continue to improve, and you will undoubtedly not have heard the last of them.
I still can't help but think if I didn't do Dark Aga, this might have been different.
Well, you'll have to go back in the VOD here and judge for yourself. So I think we are a bit over time, so we're gonna get out of here now. Signing out. So this is Walking Eye and my co-commentator.
Well, hello there. I am Marjevich, and yeah, I guess you're still interested in more Link to the Past randomizers. So just a quick notification: we have Data World versus iDay over on Speed Gaming 4 right now. That match is likely soon over. We have Justin C versus Lunchtime ATH on Speed Gaming 5. And in about 35 minutes on this channel, on Speed Gaming 2, we will have GamerCal versus Mr. Svansich. And that is one of the 2 matches that will determine how many players with a score of 4-3 will go through to the next round.
All right. Also want to give a shout out to our tracker, who's done a phenomenal job here today tracking for us, OSS Geek. So make sure to give them a follow. And what the heck, you can give the commentators a follow too. We like follows. Follows are free. Give everyone a follow. This is how the tournament goes on, is by supporting these runners especially. So thank you very much to the racers for putting on one heck of a show for us. Thank you very much to chat for being here to watch us. Thank you very much to my co-commentator and the tracker, of course. And I'm Walking Eye, and we're getting out of here. Have a good afternoon, and may it be full of rando.